Greetings YouTube, Kevlar Chicken here, and today I'm very excited actually about this review because today I will be reviewing the most expensive and probably my favorite knife in my whole collection. That's right, today we are doing a full review of the legendary United States Marine Corps 1217 fixed blade K-bar fighting knife. Now, this is not an unboxing. You can see this box is a little beat up because I've had this for quite a while, and I will try to keep this video short because I would honestly want to do more than one video on this knife. So let's talk about the main things. So this is how it comes in the box. This is not an unboxing since I've had it for a while. One of the things I would like to point out is that the handle is not normally black. This is how it becomes eventually because of the sweat pouring into the leather that's pressed into the handle, but honestly not much of an issue, not even aesthetically. I still think it looks very nice. Now it comes in this leather sheath that's made in Mexico or Mexico. And yeah, it's just a nice thick big skin leather sheath. And let's get into the K-bar. You can see that this knife is pretty much a no bullshit fighting knife design. And let's start with the main characteristics and I'll move on to the features. So this is, as you can see, you can also get a one with serrations, but I personally prefer just a straight edge because for me it just has more uses. Now this is the 1217 straight edge model United States Marine Corps fighting knife. This is approximately $128 as of today. Might be more by the time I post this video. So yeah, it's not the cheapest knife, but in my opinion, worth it. Now, the overall length is 11.81 inches or 30 centimeters. You can see by the size of my hand that this is a reasonably sized fighting knife. Not overly big, but not overly small. This is honestly, in my opinion, perfect length and very well balanced. But I digress, that's for later in the review. The blade length is 7 inches, as you can see. This is the blade, or 17.9 centimeters. The handle length is 4.68 inches, or 11.9 centimeters, so let's just say just under 5 inches. The weight is 0.66 pounds, or 300 grams. Now on different sites it says slightly different stats, but it's usually 0.7 pounds or 300 or slightly above grams. So that's you know, not set in stone. Apparently not everyone has the same weight scale. I don't know, but yeah, the weight varies a bit, but it's usually around there. Now, excuse me for that. The steel is 1095 Crovan high carbon steel. 1095 is obviously a pretty high carbon content, but yeah, the HRC or Rockwell hardness of the edge or the knife itself is 58, which is honestly very good. It's usually somewhere about 55 to 58, but on the site I found that it's 58, and that is honestly a pretty good hardness to be at for a knife or any cutting tool really. Anywhere from 55 to 62 is like the golden zone for edge hardness, where it's you know, hard enough to not need constant resharpening. The edge doesn't roll as much, but it's also not so hard that it's brittle. You know, every time it's trade off. I'm sure you already know if you're watching videos like this. And now I'll put the knife aside for a little while, and I will show you how it comes in the box. Now usually there is this thing so you can cover the edge. It's just a little cardboard piece, but I kept it all these years. It's very nice that it comes with that. Some consideration for safety is always nice. And this little pamphlet. Now I will go into the legend of the K-bar just in a little bit because it says it here. But before that, I will just quickly show you, excuse me, basically the design of it. This is what it looks like, and on the other side it's like this. It's very cool. Looks kind of like, I don't know, you get your new weapon in a video game, and honestly I appreciate that very much. This is like, I don't know, you got your level 100 dagger plus 100 critical strike, something like that. Now I did talk about the fact that this has good edge retention. Now I only did a few strokes on the honing rod, and as you can see I have used this. You can see the coating, the black coating has rubbed off. And if you see people on knife forums posting their K-bars, you can see that the ones that are heavily used kind of look like the one on the pamphlet. That was the K-bar basically without the coating. And the other thing that changes is obviously the handle, because the more you grab it like this, your sweat gets absorbed by the leather that's pressed here, and it becomes black, and this part obviously gets white. Or not white, but I don't know, just normal steel colored. Now I will do the standard A4 printer paper test. The K-bar should have absolutely zero issues with it, but let's see. There is a bit of a technique to cutting paper, so it's not always only on the knife. And although I have resharpened it, I have also used this sometimes and haven't resharpened it in a while, but let's see how it does. I will move back a little bit so I have an easier time getting the angle right. So yeah, obviously not much issue there. So I just start slicing. It does tear a little bit, but all that means is there's a dull spot somewhere which can be sharpened away quite easily. Okay, now I'll try to get, yeah, it has a dull spot, but all that really means is that I did not resharpen this properly last time. Yeah, you can see it cuts pretty easily. I did give it a few strokes on the honing rod, but apparently it needed a bit more. Now, if I do more of a slicing motion, you can see it has absolutely zero issues. And it's very satisfying once I hit the angle that doesn't have the dull spot or the right angle. Usually it's easier to cut with the same angle as the knife, but yeah, you get the point, it's gonna cut paper. What really surprised me is how well this actually chops wood, even though it's honestly it's a very light feeling knife. It's the heaviest one I have, but it feels super light. Like, check out the balance on this. This is like, for 0.7 pounds, this is like a proper weapon balance. This is made to be a weapon and it does its job well. Now I'm kind of bad at balancing things on one finger, so let's try just the tip of my two fingers. Yeah, it works. Now it does have like a bit of removed material here, sometimes called a blood groove, although I believe that's incorrect. This is called a fuller. You can also see it's a clip point for easier stabbing penetration, and it has a full length tank, not a full tank but a full length tank. I'm not sure if I already said that. Now the other thing that I would like to tell you, this is gonna be a bit of a longer video, but sorry, I wanna get everything out of the way. So, and obviously also, forgot to mention something obvious, but it has a guard to protect your fingers a little bit in case you're doing like knife fighting or something similar, or just your hand from slipping and cutting yourself on the edge. Also, there's not gonna be footage of that because it's sharp enough to the point where I can't really do this, but since it's well balanced, you can actually use this as a throwing knife without any issues in terms of balance. But normally I would not recommend it because I am a bit worried because the tank is a bit thin towards the end and it starts thinning out somewhere here, and a knife throwing puts a lot of pressure on knives, and obviously this one was not its primary purpose. So this is meant as a fighting knife, but I have thrown it and it has withstood it, but I would not recommend it. And now I'll go into the things that I do not like. Obviously I think it's a little bit overpriced, at least these days, because the brand has grown so much that honestly they can afford to price their items a little higher, which is something I can't really hold against them because that's what every successful businessman does, and they are a business, they are a big company, and they are a successful one. And even though their things are pricey, until they have some serious competition, they can honestly afford to do this, and I can't really blame them for that. So that's it. The one thing I do not like about this knife is honestly something I can't really hold too much against it, but that is the fact that you do need to be at least a little bit careful because this thing rusts very easily. That is the biggest weakness of 1095 high carbon steel, or high carbon steels in general, and it is a bit like it can be a bit brittle. I've seen a lot of videos where these break, although I have to point out the people who break them, honestly, they abuse them a lot. Like they use the knife as a machete, they use the knife as as anything other than a fighting knife. Like if you use this against like a realistic ballistic gel dummy, and you just use this as a stabbing knife the way it was intended to be used, or as just a slash against human skin and bones like that, this would perform amazingly well. The only thing that I can really hold against it right now is that the Glock is giving it some trouble considering for its money, considering this one is a lot cheaper and it can probably hold its own against it, at least in some aspects. And you can see I have not babied this knife at all. Ever since my last video I actually practiced some knife throwing, and you can see this has been through hell and back and survived. And honestly, this knife has also seen some very serious torture, and I've also seen some very serious torture videos on this knife, and this one actually performed better than the K-bar. Although, even though this is like 5 ounces or 100 grams lighter, it feels slightly heavier than the K-bar. This is how well balanced the K-bar is, and this is not a bad balanced knife at all. So just putting the comparison out there, like K-bar beats in balance all day. by balance, I don't mean balance as a throwing knife. As a throwing knife, this is better, but if I wanted to slash or stab someone, I would still pick the K-bar. Just feels, I don't know, it just feels natural. I don't know how to explain it. If you guys also watch sword videos, there's a guy called Shadiversity and the guy called Skawagurem. He makes a lot of sword videos and things like that. They explain the difference between holding a sword-like object and a real sword, and obviously some of them admit that they started off with like sword-like objects or swords that are not really practical, and then they've held a real sword. That's kind of what this knife feels like if you've ever held any other knife. Like, this feels like the real thing. I don't know how to explain it. It just is. Once you hold it, this feels so natural and you can do it so fast. I feel that if I tried to throw a full speed punch or a full speed slash, I would actually be faster with the knife, even though it technically weighs more, you know, than just my hand. It's just amazing. It truly feels like an extension of your limbs. The only thing I wish they made sturdier was this place here. I've seen it break. Just the tank needs to be a bit thicker. Honestly, only true complaint that I have. Now, this video has already been a lot longer than anticipated, but hey, I wanted to rant about this knife and I did. Hope you enjoyed it. But before that, I will give you a quick rundown of why it was named K-bar. And it actually has it here on the pamphlet. So, there's a section called How We Got Our Name. K-bar Knives Incorporated since 1898. So this is a really old company. Our name dates back to the early 1900s. From a fur trapper testimonial, he wrote that while trapping, his gun jammed, leaving him with only his knife to kill a wounded bear that was attacking him. He thanked us for making the quality knife that helped him kill a bear, but all that was legible was K-a-bar. Honored by the testimonial, the company adopted the phrase K-bar as their trademark. Now, imagine you shot a bear once or twice, your gun jammed, and you gotta finish off a wounded, pissed off bear, and the only thing you have is this, and it actually pulls through. Damn, if that story is true, this is honestly pretty cool. But even if it's just a legend, hey, it's a really nice one. Now, I think I've already said it earlier in the video, but one of the ways you can tell if your knife is a fake or not, obviously the price. It is a bit of a pricey knife, my only other complaint on it, but honestly not much of one. As long as it has quality, you can be willing to pay the price. It's approximately $128 as of filming. I checked on Google and on some sites. That is what it retails for. It says USMC on this side, Olean, New York on this side here. And obviously there are many Chinese knockoff versions, which if you want the real knife, the way you can avoid them is first check the blade steel. This should be 1095 high carbon or 1095 Crovan high carbon steel. Sometimes it just says 1095 high carbon because that's more of a general term without going into the specifics. I believe the chrome part is because they wanted a bit of extra corrosion resistance, and I can't blame them. 1095 does tend to rust quite easily. So if you're using this for outdoors, please just wipe it off after using it. It prevents corrosion. It really doesn't take that much work to prevent it. The other thing is, when it arrives, you can see the United States Marine Corps logo, and this is kind of like a watermark. The real ones have it. So yeah, try not to buy any Chinese knockoffs. And thank you very much for watching.